Hey guys, welcome to Leicester United. Welcome to another video. And right now I'm going to change the topic. I normally talk about Barcelona and about different things, but today I think it's very important to talk about, for me, who are going to be the surprise packages for this season, either in the Champions League, Europa League, in the Premier League, in La Liga, whoever it is. Whatever they're playing, this for me are the underdogs, the dark horses for the respective competitions, and I believe that they could be teams that have gone under the radar, but that could surprise the big boys if they're not careful. So at number 5, I'm going to start with West Ham United. I think that they started the summer very well, reinforcing with the likes of Pablo Fornals. Then they went ahead and did a mega signing of Sebastian Haller after having a really good season in the Bundesliga with Frankfurt. Then they went ahead and finished their signings with Cardoso and a Yeti, a center back and a striker respectively. And I think that they were good backups, they were good reinforcement. I believe that West Ham didn't do all the business that they would have liked to. At least I would have think that they would have signed a central midfielder and they would have been spot on in that position. I think that going forward they've reinforced something that they were already pretty decent at. They added to that very well in the likes of Haller and Fornals. I just think defensively, your wing backs and your central midfielders, I believe that if anything happens to Declan Rice, West Ham could start having a really bad season. But going forward, they could be in a situation where they just need to outscore their opponents most of the time. And with these talents of Fornals, Haller, you had Lanzini, you had Felipe Anderson, I'm sure that they would have enough firepower to put a lot of teams under pressure with so many good players. Haller, as you know, was probably one of the best strikers in the Bundesliga last season, and pretty much in Europe. He was making the life of, Luka Jovic easier. He was being a very good striker, very supportive, a lot of assists, but he showed that he could take the strides when he needed to be. He can score the goals. I think that's really very important for the likes of Felipe Anderson, for the likes of Pablo Fornals, for Lanzini, for whoever it is that he's playing alongside in that forward line. He's going to be able to supply balls for them, and it's going to be very good for West Ham coming next season. I think Pellegrini is a really good manager, that he knows the Premier League very well, and West Ham should be able to at least give a scare. And who knows, maybe I'm not saying break into a top 6, but they could definitely finish in the Europa League, and who knows, maybe they can nick in the cup if other teams are not careful of them. At 4th place, I'm gonna put Real Sociedad. I think that they're a team that is absolutely, they did some amazing business this season with the signings of Alex Ramiro on a free from Athletic Club, Porto, Martin Odegaard and Alexander Isaac. I think that the name that stands out the most in that list is Martin Odegaard, obviously, but I think that Alexander Isaac is actually, for me, although I don't think that he's going to be the best player out of the list, I think that potential wise he could see a big growth coming this season. I think that Alex Ramiro from the competitors, it's a good signing. I just think that you already have a really good goalkeeper in Geronimo Rulli. He's gone off to Montpellier on loan. I think that he's a really quality goalkeeper, but Ramiro showed good things at Athletic and could be very good for La Sociedad. They have already a decent backup line. I think that the back line should have been strengthened a little bit with better fullbacks, although Theo Hernandez didn't really work for them. It's a player that I would have thought that they would have implemented some necessary, tools, like maybe a center back, maybe bringing a right back. It's positions where I would have strengthened personally, but it's not too bad. And if they can set up on a really good way, maybe midfield forwards, they should be able to pretty much control the game for them if they're able to. In the midfielder, I believe they're going to play with a double pivot of Villarramendi and Mikel Merino. I think Mikel Merino for the time being is playing as a number 10, or as an advanced number 8. But I believe that he's eventually going to back his position into a number 6, number 5. I believe next to Villarramendi, the likes of Surtusa, they should be able to, you know, sustain the midfield very well. And then going forward, you have plenty of options with Odegaard, who I think has been very good in the Eredivisie last season and the past 2 seasons actually. He creatively should be able to put enough in the place for the likes of Mikel Oyarzabal and then Januzaj. Porto, who's really good attacking the space, that he got relegated from with Girona last season. Isaac, William Jose. I think that going forward they have a lot. I think Porto, Oyarzabal are players that are amazing with the attacking the space. You know, like their profile in the way of like Eto'o, Pedro, Villa, those kind of players that like it to attack the space, to like to run into the space. And I think that for Odegaard, that's going to be a big benefit. Isaac and William Jose, 2 strikers that are really good holding up the ball. I was honestly, if I was going to bring in a striker, I would have, if I wasn't going to bring in Luka Jovic, the other option that I would have brought in was Alexander Isaac, because he's young, because I'm sure that he will, although not playing Barca B, I would like him to play Barcelona, because I'm sure that he will be like in that situation where Tolibo is right now, where he's going to be very limited to minutes, but he could get some minutes and just train with the first team. That would have been good enough. And maybe in 1 or 2 seasons when Suarez transitioned out of the squad, Alexander Isaac can go there and go into the first team. I think that he's a striker with a lot of potential. He doesn't really, like, although he's kind of similar to Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic is one of a kind. He was a very different striker to many of them. But Isaac, his physical qualities and technical qualities are really good for a striker. And I would have given him a chance at Barcelona, and who knows, maybe we can have an option to buy him in a couple of years. With this said and done, I think Sociedad could be, you know, if they have a really great season, like if they really perform to their best level of ability and teams are not aware of them, they could be even finishing in the top 4. Like, my opinion, they could be finishing in Champions League places. In Europe, I think realistically finishing mid-table is always the goal for Real Sociedad, but I would expect them to at least finish in the Europa League places, and if possible, they could be able to finish in Champions League places. That's why I think they are dark horses for La Liga this coming season. At number 3, I'm gonna have RB Leipzig, Rasenballsport Leipzig. They're a team that's not very liked in Germany for known reasons. They spent a lot of money, but their youth project is amazing. Normally, if one of your players is liked by Leipzig, that's a meaning that you shouldn't sell him, because he's probably really great, as we've seen with likes of Berner, Konate, Upamecano, you know, Haidara, Anabi Keita, like Forsberg. So many great players that they've signed over the years, and this season they've done more of the same. And Nkunku is a player that wasn't very fancied at PSG, and I think that he could add a lot to their midfield. These goals from midfield, as we saw last weekend, he was good for Leipzig. He scored a goal with his first touch. Ruan Candido, a left back. I think that it's weird that they signed a left back, but I can understand that maybe Halstenberg, with his injury concerns, that he's not particularly the youngest, hasn't been able to convince the Leipzig coach. But I think that he's a good fullback. He looks like someone that could give a lot for them. With Marcel Sracci, I think that they're more than enough cover at left back. Klosterman and Konrad Leimer shifting in at right back with Nordic Mukiele also be able to shift there. They're going to be able to have a really good amount of depth in that position next season. I think that Ampadu, Wolf and Lookman, they're all players that Ampadu is signing on loan, on a seasonal loan from Chelsea. He's that kind of player that has the potential to be special, has played a lot of games already for the Wales national team, and you know, I mean, he's young, but again, Leipzig, if they like a player, more than not, he's probably good. Hannes Wolf, the player from RB Salzburg that came from last season, he's a number 10. He probably is gonna come in and substitute Emil Forsberg in the future. I think that Forsberg actually should leave this season to give Wolf some space. I think already in the forward line and in midfield you have way too many players, even if you're playing in the Champions League. But you know, it's something that they needed. I think that as a player that could eventually process, like convert himself into like Nadim Amiri, where Julian Nagelsmann had him last season, and we'll see. Ademola Lookman, a player that attacks the space very well, that's really fast, really tricky, had a really good spell last time that he played in the Bundesliga with Leipzig, and in the minutes that he was given with Everton, he was alright. But I think that under a coach like Julian Nagelsmann, He probably is the best young coach in the world, and if there was a coach that I would love like to see the project is with him. I think that keeping Werner, although he's gonna leave at the end of the season, I mean, the window's not closed yet, but everything seems that he's gonna stay for a season, or at least for 6 months, and I believe that it will be great to see him in the Champions League and in Bundesliga, what they can do with a full squad of really great players. I mean, it'll be great to see them have Naby Keita, just see what they can do, but they have more than enough capacity, and who knows. My upset is that with everything that's happened, maybe RB Leipzig could be real challengers for the Bundesliga this season. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I think Dortmund and Bayern are still the favorites to win the Bundesliga. I don't think Bayern have strengthened in the forward areas as they should have. I think Coutinho and Perisic are fine signings, but you needed proper wingers that have you depth, and they're not proper wingers that have you depth. They're more like number 10s. Perisic can give you depth, but it's tricky. Like, we'll see what's going to happen next season. I think that Leipzig in the Champions League also could have a really good task. We'll see what kind of group they get, and getting out of the round 16 or even reaching the quarterfinals could be something really good for Leipzig, and people I'm sure that they're not going to be watching out for Leipzig coming next season. Napoli, for me, are going to be finishing second in this list. In my opinion, they're a team that could challenge for Serie A this season. If there is ever a moment that you go ahead and challenge Juventus for the Serie A title, is this season. Like, this season, if someone is going to beat them to the title, it's Napoli. I think Inter are still far away from what they need. Conte, I'm sure that they're going to develop a good team, but I just don't see that Inter team ready. They need fullbacks, they need more depth, they need more wingers, and they something that they haven't gotten, and they don't seem like they're going to get it. The midfield and forward line and defense is actually pretty good, but again, depth-wise, I don't know how they're going to be able to challenge playing Champions League, the Serie A Cup, and the Serie A. So I think it's going to be very difficult for Inter to do anything. But Napoli, with the signings of Costa Manola, substituting Raul Albiol, and adding the likes of Irving Lozano, who knows, they're a team that could evolve into one of the best teams in the world. And for a number of years, they've been under Maurizio Sarri respectively. They were playing amazing football, one of the best footballing sides that I've seen of the past 10 years. And you know, Ancelotti has kind of kept that. And I think that Napoli with a 4-4-2, they could be fantastic. Lozano is one of my favorite players in the world. He's a player that I honestly would have loved Barcelona to sign, because he's exactly the profile player that we need. He's exactly the profile player that we need next to Messi, especially someone that attacks the space, that is so blistering fast, and that in a technical kind of way, he's very good defending himself with the ball. He's a very good dribbler, very good finisher, a lot of good pace, and very useful. I think that a starting 11 would look something like Alex Meret with Manolas and Koulibaly. That was a unit of centre-back positions. Then Haiza and Gulam at fullbacks, two really good advancing fullbacks. Then the midfield of Alan, probably the most underrated player in Serie A and one of the most underrated players in the world, with the likes of, you know, Fabian Ruiz. You could have even Zielinski, that he's kind of evolved. Like in preseason, we saw that he kind of is evolving as a kind of a number 5. He's dropping into a number 6 role instead of that advanced number 8 role that he was playing last season in. And then you have the likes of Insigne, Mertens, Arkadiusz Milik. They definitely have a lot to do a lot of damage. And with Ancelotti, who is a specialist in the Champions League, I could see, if you tell me that Napoli win the Champions League or that win the Serie A next season, I wouldn't be all that surprised. It would be a great shout, but I believe that they have the players and the quality and the coach to do so. So when we meet, maybe with a bit of luck, and Juventus that's not competing to those 90 points that they normally do every season, who knows, Napoli could be surprisers next season. And as number 1, the team that I think is going to do the most outrageous task next season is Leicester City. And it was difficult between setting Napoli and Leicester for first and second, but I'm going to go with Leicester, because I think that out of everyone this season, they've done the best business, and that is signing Tielemans, signing Pratt, and signing Ayoze Perez. They're all great signings. I think that the only thing they kind of messed up was the center back. And that's what happens when you leave Harry Maguire so late for the window. They didn't have time to replace center backs, but I believe that what they have should be good enough, because to be honest, your center backs don't have to be particularly world class when you're playing the way the Leicester are playing right now, which is really good possession football. They definitely have one of the best midfields in the Premier League. I would say they probably have the 4th or 5th best midfield in the Premier League, and a team that's actually really good, well compounds. Like, let's put the starting 11 right now: Kasper Schmeichel with Soyuncu and Johnny Evans, with the potential of having Filip Benkovic eventually being promoted to the starting lineup. Ben Chilwell and Ricardo Pereira, 2 world-class fullbacks, actually really great fullbacks, and a midfield of Ndidi, James Maddison, and Yuri Tielemans. That is a world-class midfield with Chowdhury able to come in for some games to cover either a centre midfielder or a defensive midfield. And then a forward line of probably, if I had to say, Jamie Vardy with Demarai Gray and a Jose Perez, or even Harry Barnes, who had a really good 6 months to the end of the season. That was really good to see from Leicester. I think that this is the year. They're not playing Europa League, they're not playing the Champions League. They can just focus on the Premier League, and I believe that Leicester could do the most outrageous thing out of all the teams that I mentioned, which it would be finishing 4th in the Premier League. I believe that they have a team that's good enough. I just believe in Brendan Rodgers. I believe that he did a fantastic job with Liverpool. He's done a good job with Celtic, and it's time. It's time for Leicester to go back to that electricity. Like, I just believe that they could have a massive season. I just trust a lot in that midfield. Their fullbacks, their forward line is actually really good. Harvey Barnes again could evolve into one of the best players. He could be the standout young player of the year, to be honest, if he really sets himself up to it. So with all this said and done, leave me your opinions in the comment section below. What do you think about my surprise package of the season, my dark horses? Who do you think is going to be a surprise package coming next season? And with all this said and done, leave me all your opinions in the comment section below. Comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one, Blaugranas.